There was a time that the dark, greasy dust seemed to be everywhere on the waterfront, on balconies, and boats. Just ask Don Darnauer, a longtime resident of Long Beach.
Dust is a normal thing anyway, downtown, everything undergoing construction and everything, but when it's black, you know, it tells you something else, and that's what bothered us.
In 1996, the Port of Long Beach took steps to deal with this black dust fallout, which was identified as petroleum coke, the condensed carbon substance that is left after gasoline is produced from crude oil at the refineries. This byproduct of the refining process is used primarily as fuel. Most of the petroleum coke is exported to other countries, which means that trucks carry the substance from the oil refineries to the Port of Long Beach, where it is temporarily stored and shipped abroad. During the handling, storing, and transporting of petroleum coke, dust particles may drop from the trucks. The dust is ground up by passing vehicles and blown into the air.
There were some complaints that we received, the port received, from local marina operators, some of the local residents that live in the towers along Ocean Boulevard, of black fallout on their boats and on their patios. And so we looked into that and we said, well, we need to do a scientific assessment of what this is. There's lots of black stuff around here. And so after a very scientific, rigorous scientific investigation where particles were examined under a microscope and categorized chemically and so on, it was determined that about 20% of the black fallout on the ground was composed of chemical coke.
Once the dust and its source were identified, the port took a number of steps to keep this particulate matter contained at every stage of storage, handling, and transport, so that as little as possible would escape into the air.
When this all started, most of the petroleum coke storage barns in the port were covered, but two large ones were not. One of the requirements of the rule and one of the infrastructure improvements the port did was either eliminate those barns or cover them, so there's no longer any open storage of petroleum coke. In addition, there's increased street sweeping throughout the port. A minimum of every 4 hours, street sweepers have to sweep the roads coming into and leaving the petroleum coke facilities to reduce the petroleum coke on the ground that can get back into the air and impact downtown Long Beach.
The facility now is totally enclosed. Transfer areas that were open are now enclosed, looking just like buildings. Conveyors that had open sides are now in round tubes, and we've replaced our oldest ship loader.
Today, the port tracks the amount of petroleum coke dust collected at monitoring stations throughout the city. The result? Instead of 20% of the particulate matter being petroleum coke, it is now down to a mere 3%. This is a monumental improvement that resulted from a unique process. It included a community consultative committee, whose role was to monitor the work being done and to regularly review the progress.
It's one of the earlier environmental issues that I think we have dealt with here in the last several years. I think this one probably goes back 6-7 years, and it was largely people in the community that were having difficulties with fallout, black fallout, particularly along the coast. So we got some community involved, they got themselves involved in it, and we endeavored to come up with ways to deal with how do we help alleviate it.
It was just a matter of monitoring what they were doing and asking a lot of questions. Well, why not this, why not that? And you know, we got involved in, well, when are you going to do this ship loader thing so it won't be spilling dust all over? And when are you going to do something about cleaning up the streets down there in the port because it all blows from the trucks there and everything? And they did. They took many steps.
Today, after spending $25 million on new facilities and equipment, the entire process of handling, storing, and transporting petroleum coke has undergone a transformation. At the refineries, the petroleum coke is loaded onto trucks using a sealed conveyor belt. The trucks have toaster tops, so the residue can't blow out, and they're washed before leaving the refinery. Once at the port, there are sealed conveyor belts that deposit the petroleum coke in enclosed sheds. Specially covered, snake-like loaders take the material to the ships, making sure the coke is never exposed to the air. Lastly, all trucks leaving the port are washed, and the streets throughout the port are vacuumed. The difference is obvious.
The Port Commission is very appreciative of the effort, and of course the port itself wound up making the major cost improvements, but the test data has shown that it's money well spent. And there's general agreement that what we've done has made a positive effect on the community. And so we're all grateful for that, because we're all citizens of this planet.